We ready? You tell me when we're ready.
Welcome back to the Be Ruthless Show. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and joining me today is my beautiful partner, Claudia Fernandez Niedzielski. I never get it right. And sorry we are late. We are just so excited about this mission and our project, and we were just chatting away because we can't contain ourselves. So, thank you for being here and joining us. You can, in real time, type questions that we will see and answer. And many of you already know that we do have a book out, Faces of Mental Illness, and we are taking it bigger and doing more. And this all started with Claudia. So why don't you tell us about you and how this began?
Well, I am going to challenge you on that this just started with me because it did not. This is bigger than us, and it also, you carry that flame in you, Sam, and everybody that has been involved in this project. So this is not just me doing. I believe that I'm just that, a conduit for a project that needed to start, and that once it started is just absolutely taking, just like a fire, it's just extending and exploding and going where it needs to go. So here's what I'm going to share with you is I had my first encounter with what mental illness is when I was 22 years old, and I was hospitalized. I was in Iowa, and after 5 months of hospitalization and different medicine combinations that were not working, I had electroconvulsive therapy, and that's why I'm standing in here in front of you today. And I am so proud to be part of this project. But as I mentioned to you, I think we are just conduits for something that is greater than us. And Sam and I met in 2019, which now I know it was an planned, unscheduled meeting. And as soon as we share our stories, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I you read my story, right? In Women Who Illuminate. Is that how it happened? I think we that was the first book that I felt to that I was called to write, and it was a perfect book. And I share my story of what I just shared with you, and we've been connected ever since. And it was until, when was it, Sam? Was it in, I think, 2 years later, right? Or in 2019, 2020, when 19, yeah, when we met, you said, "I think this will be a great project. And I think we're going to write together." But then the book, Faces of Mental Illness, all came about. And because we are the faces, people misunderstand mental illness, but I'm here to tell you today that these are the faces. Samantha is a face, I'm a face. And the first book that we wrote is that we collaborated on is 20 faces from around the world and from different walks of life, all sharing their personal story of triumph, of um,
Our
despair,
journey from stigma to health.
of not feeling loved or understood, all of a sudden to be in a place where we can all come together and say, "I see you for who you are. I see you for the human being that you are. I don't put a label just because you have a mental illness." And we are extremely thrilled to let you know that this project that began just as one book, that's what we thought, one book done and over, right, Sam? 20 authors just joining us bravely and going into this journey has now absolutely unfolded into now a series. And the next one is anxiety. And for that, I'm going to give the floor back to Samantha for her to tell you all about that. So go ahead, Sam.
Claudia is correct. We were co-authors in Women Who Illuminate. And at that time in my life, I was still, I'll always be deeply grieving Jim, but I was not functioning and deeply grieving Jim. And I wrote my story in this book, and I had no idea why. I was writing to survive. I was connecting with these people who were helping me survive and helping me move along in my journey of grief. And when the book came out and I read Claudia's story, I said, here is someone who is as passionate as I am about changing the way the world views mental health and breaking stigmas. And we need to do something together, because I could feel it in her words. I could feel the passion. And so here we are, and we don't want to stop. Little do you know that we don't have to be in the same place to be completely in sync. I went to Kate Butler connects so many of us and is my miracle and is a big part of my healing journey. I was at her event in March, at the end of March, and I came back and said, Claudia, we have to talk. And Claudia said, Sam, we have to talk. And we both had all of these experiences and thoughts about our book and how we need to be doing more. And we need to continue this project and we need to get it in bigger hands. And this world is crazy right now, and people are suffering and people are struggling. And of all things, anxiety right now is at an all-time high. And I've lived with it my whole life. And when I lost Jim, it reached levels I never, ever had experienced. And so writing is a large part of how I did get through losing Jim. And so writing is such a big part of both of our lives now, that we want others to know that you have stories. And part of everyone in Faces of Mental Illness, every single person, without saying, guys, this is how we want you to write your story, every single person ended up saying that through writing it was therapeutic and it helped them reach a different level of healing in their journey. And getting through it with others and getting through it without hiding is part of how we shine and part of how we change these stigmas. And so we are here today to tell you that we are going to be even louder, and we are going to write more books, and we are going to let everyone out there know that you're not alone, and there's nothing wrong with you. There is something wrong with the world for making it seem like what we know is our gift, for the world making it seem like that is a weakness. We want you to know that we are with you and we will help you understand that it is your beautiful gift.
Same way, Sam, because that's absolutely right. I see it as my gift. And Sam and I have been in this writing journey for a while, and writing my chapter to Leading with Legacy, which is the last book we collaborated with Kate, at least for me at the moment, because there are many more, right? There are many more to come. But in that one, I really see my psychotic break in my diagnosis in my illness as a great gift. And I did not understand it at the moment. My parents didn't either. But now I know that it was greater. It was to put that seed in me to obviously do what we're doing now with this as a project that we want to have and to reach every corner of the world. Because Sam is right. There's so misunderstanding, and not just for mental illness. I believe that we're in a moment where there's so misunderstanding just with others feeling differently, from others to obviously believe differently, to feel, to seek different things. I mean, just look at our political landscape here in the United States, but that's with anything. If you just look around everywhere, you see places where you can be of bigger impact in your community, in your immediate circle. And I believe that's what this is. When I started my real estate career, because that's also what I do by day, my tagline is positively impacting lives. And I've always been drawn to that ever since I was very little. My father just showered me with just great information as far as positive messages. And I just took that on. And I think it, without me really realizing that I was doing that from the beginning, is really that I feel to be called. I feel a big calling to really do that, embodied my entire tagline to positively impact the lives of others, regardless of where you are. If you're have a mental illness, or if you have, if you're a woman of color, or a man of color, or if you actually are in a total different world, or if you believe something different when it comes to politicians or to anything else, anything in the world really that needs to be addressed in a more kind way. And I can tell you, I am not perfect by any means, and I have absolutely punched people in the face with my words. And I'm walking in that space of being more mindfulness, to have more mindfulness of that. And that is the beauty. Even though we're standing here with this project and taking others in our journey, I can also stand here fully acknowledging that I'm also a human, and that I'm also working to better myself every single day, and that I am not perfect, but that I'm actually a perfectly created being, just the way I am. And that's what we're here to tell you today. that if you decide to embrace that, to embrace your calling, to embrace your own journey of healing and your own journey of moving from the stigma to mental health, from the illness or diagnosis that you may have, that we would love to have you or somebody that you know as an author in our world.
And for anyone wondering, since it is May and it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we actually are at the tail end of Mental Health Awareness Week, why it's called Faces of Mental Illness, that is intentional. We intentionally chose that word. We're passionate about changing the stigma. And in order to do that, we have to acknowledge that this is an illness. We have to be proud of who we are, whatever our diagnosis is. We have to own the fact that it's a diagnosis. It is not our identity. And there are a lot of people who chose not to be a part of the first book that were bothered by the title and wanted a different title. And we understand that. And we are in a place that we are looking for people who understand this message and understand the reasoning behind it and recognize that we need people who are okay with illness in the title, because until the whole world gets to that place, we still have a problem.
We do. And if we are going to be the changers of that, it cannot start with us. We have to lead by example. And the other day, I was actually part of a conference with a conference call with the group that I belong to as a speaker, which is called Stop Stigma Sacramento. And I started speaking with them since 2015. And what one of the presenters actually said was, we always would have mental health, and mental health is really what we go by, which is just like your physical health. You need to concentrate about your mental health as you concentrate about your physical health. However, when it comes to these diagnoses, you cannot talk to somebody that has cancer to say, well, you need to be in check of your physical health without talking about the cancer that they're experiencing. And that's where Sam is coming. Yes, talking about mental illness is uncomfortable. It actually raises the eyebrows. I can tell you that when I started talking about this, my mom and my parents were terrified, in the sense that I live in a community where I also do work. And I said, Mom, I take this as a natural cleansing, or maybe as an opportunity for somebody else to understand why it is that they bother by this. And if they're not welcome into my world or feel that they can be part of my world because of that, then I'm totally okay to allow them to continue their own journey and to maybe circle back and realize, I really did not quite understand, because a lot of folks don't. But what I'm here to tell you is, like Sam said, we are way more, because each human being on this earth is way more. We are all standing here being human, and we all have either, addictions, cancer, diabetes. Just by the mere fact that we're alive, something is going to find us.
Or someone we know.
Exactly. Or someone we know. So I'm here today to really, to invite you. It's really an invitation. It's a open door invitation for you to explore truly who you are in the inside, and to really just go for it. Just go for it. If you are called to write a chapter on our next book, which is Faces of Mental Illness, and it will be showcasing anxiety. And when I say showcasing, is because I truly believe what Sam said. We need to start talking about the gift that some of these illnesses actually are. And if you have anxiety, you may be looking at me and saying, how can you say that? But I bet you anything that if you go deeper, the anxiety has actually protected you, or sheltered you, or shown you something that you did not know about yourself or others. It requires deeper work, but it's in there. So please forgive me if I make it sound like it's nothing, because that's not what I mean. What I mean is we have all risen beyond our diagnosis to find healing. At least that's what I came out with, those stories in that book. Do you believe, Sam? I mean, some of those stories were heart-wrenching, and I thought, how are you still standing? One of my best friends is in the book, and I just thought, how can you be still standing? I don't know that I would be standing in your shoes if that would have been my life. just to have her turn around and say, and how is it that you're standing? So that's what I mean. And that's what Sam means when we share this is we have all fallen. We have all experienced pain. We have all experienced joy as well. We have all experienced disappointment in any way, shape, and form, just by the mere fact that we're alive. Our journey is obviously a journey towards mental healing and towards whatever that means for you, speaking from the heart of what having a mental illness truly is and how that impacts not just you, but your world around you and those that you love in your communities and the state that you live in and the country and then the world. Because it is really a human problem. And I shouldn't say a problem. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it affects all humans in all walks of life. So at the end of the day, it's really something that you have to be absolutely, like Sam said, proud. And I'm going to tell you exactly when that moment came for me. I read a book by Kay Jamison, who I'm absolutely sure that Sam and I will meet at one point in this journey. And she wrote Touched by Fire. She also wrote a book, An Unquiet Mind, which is basically her story with bipolar disorder. And she's the top psychiatrist at Hopkins University. And when she wrote Touched by Fire, it's a story of all the artists, all the sculptors, all the painters, all the musicians, every single marvelous thing that we have in this world to admire, almost every one of them has come from a mind that was, quote unquote, gifted with something that is so misunderstood. And when I read that and I saw the list on the back of many that we lost to their own, by taking their own life out of their pain, and by many more that were obviously in the journey of doing just what they did, which was just be them and use their talents. Just imagine if we didn't have them. Just imagine if they would not put their foot in this earth. We would be completely empty of all those experiences. So when I read that list at the back and I read those stories, that's when I felt pride to say, I am just a soul, just like these many others that have come before me. And I do have a gift and I do have talents. And now I stand proud knowing that I have also been touched by fire. So our goal is that you come away from this conversation feeling ignited and feeling the need to be illuminated, not only by exploring your own journey, but also by just knowing that you were touched in a special way for a reason. And that if that reason is the calling to join us on this journey, that you please do reach out, because we are here to take you with us wherever that's going to lead, which I only can tell you is going to be bigger than we probably realize.
And I want to point out that I had someone say to me, I don't have any degrees. I'm not a writer. This is not about dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. We will help you through that. There are apps that you can talk your story into, and we will help you figure out those details. This is about feeling like you have a story to share or feeling connected to this in some way, shape, or form. Don't worry about those other details.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of ways to support us as well. There are some people who just really, truly share our posts and help us get our book out into the world. This is however it feels right to you. And for those of you that don't know much about books and publishing, our book and our mission is different than some of the others out there. And I want to share a little bit about that, just because there are people who know people who know people. And we have learned that if we don't ask and if we don't tell people these things, it might not get put out there. So other books, we have to pay to get books published. We have to pay to have covers and have all these things happen. And other books charge the authors. And that's how things get done. That doesn't,
which is totally fine. That
Absolutely.
model is absolutely a beautiful model.
Absolutely.
For that.
We do that in other, we do that for other books. It doesn't feel right for this book. For this book, we just want to get it in the world and change things and break stigmas. And so we are looking for our own sponsors and for different ways to get those costs paid. We paid for the first book, and we're being creative for future books. So if you work for a company that might be interested in having their name connected with a cause like this, please reach out. Let us know how we can connect with them. If you own your own business and you would like to be a part of that, please reach out and let us know. Any way that you feel connected to support this cause, we are done playing small, and we want to do things to change the conversation so that people don't sit at home afraid to go out there and get the help that they deserve because of these stigmas and because of fear of what other people will say. I have someone in a big corporate position who worries about what might get back to employers. And these are the things that stop people from getting support that's available. And so we just want to get out to the masses, not for our names and not for money or recognition. And if you are connected to what we're doing and you know someone who might want this book, let us know. We are not selling it. We will send it to you. This is about getting it in people's hands.
Thank you, Sam. You could have not said that more perfect than I could have. And it's true. So if you are wanting to have a copy of the first one that we wrote, or know somebody that may be impacted by any illness, as far as the mental realm, or any illness really, because some of these stories actually carry in it seeds, nuggets of any other of walks of life, really, let us know. We will definitely be sending it to you any way that we can, and it will be free of charge. Because again, this is really a mission for Sam and I, and we want to carry it to wherever it needs to go, and to make sure that every corner of the world that we can reach through you and with you and for this project can actually be reached. And we realize that Sam and I are only one of the conduits to do this, but we finally realized that we could touch into really our own communities and our own inner circles and more, to enlist really the assistance and the help and the support of everybody out there to just carry this work as far as it can reach, or can be reached, and all that. So thank you so much for being here and for coming into this space today. Unless you have anything else, Sam, I'm not quite sure that there's anything else that needs to be added. You tell me.
No, I just want you, if you are thinking my story isn't important or I don't have a story, please know that you do. Your story will help someone, and your story matters. And again, you do not have to have degrees or fancy titles. Really, really, truly. People read my story and reached out to me and said, I had no idea. And reading this helped me understand better ways to communicate with you. And it's not only about the diagnosis, it also is informative because, again, even though I feel like I'm glowing, when I'm feeling anxious and I think everyone out there knows, unless we tell people, it's invisible. And so
Yes.
this is about shining the light in so many different ways, about my personal story, about how it affects my friends and family, all of those things. So again,
And I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll interrupt you quickly, Sam, because I had one of the authors in our we have one of the authors in our first book that reached out to me and said, but I see that all these people are doing so many great things in their life, and I don't feel that I'm there yet. And I said, and that's why we need your story, because this is not a story of seeing somebody else's level of where they have reached in their life. This is a book of actually seeing everybody on their own journey wherever they are, and writing from that place, and being able to shine that light into the next person wherever they are. So wherever you are in your journey is exactly the perfect place, and it's exactly perfectly planned. So you are there. So you either can reach out to other people for support, or that you can lend your hand to others that are below you, and you can continue to help in that. So thank you, Sam, for pointing that out, because yes, this is not a book to say, look at me. This is a book to really share from the bottom of your heart, and from wherever you are, where you have been, where you are, and maybe where you're going. And if you don't know any of those answers, it's absolutely, totally still okay and perfectly human. And we want your story.
And my audience knows I still have anxiety. I've learned how to live with it and handle it better. Last week, not good. Right? You just were talking before we were on the air about an appointment you were at. This isn't
Right.
about what you see if you are just tuning in and Sam and Claudia have books and they have overcome something and it's the next chat. This is about how we successfully live with our diagnosis and maintain the ups and downs.
Correct. Absolutely. Beautifully put, Sam, because you're right. I said I'm not perfect. I know that I can be very disruptive based on my personality. I totally, fully acknowledge that. I know that sometimes I actually open doors where I have not been called, and create situations that probably could have been avoided if I could have kept myself in check. And maybe I don't want to keep myself in check anymore. Who knows, right? That is just, but as this continues to unfold, I truly want to invite you to, I shouldn't say I want you, I definitely invite you to embrace all you are, even the parts that you feel that are just dark and ugly and not nice for others to look at. I'm here to let you know that you are beautifully made the way you are, and that we definitely want you in our journey. And don't worry, because everything will be taken care of in the background. With the first book that we wrote, it was our first one, right, Sam? Our first joint effort together. And we have a fantastic publisher that will catch us as we are trying to get our footing. And she has led by example on how to do that. And we are here to tell you that now we are better prepared to be able to catch you or hold you when you're feeling, because that's one thing that I'm glad that I went into that. Those of you that decide to write on this book, just know that at any given point, you can say, I'm staying, or I'm actually not, and I'm walking out. This is a book where you're going to be free to decide on the last minute, pretty much. Well, I wouldn't say until the last minute, since there's designs and things like that involved. But just know that when you're writing your story, things are going to come up. You are going to feel triggered. Your family may tell you that's not what you should be doing. Friends and friends, especially if they mean well and want to protect you, they will say, what the heck are you doing writing that? Just like my own parents were telling me. And now that they are seeing where this has taken me, that has changed. But it may not be. And all I want you to know is that if for whatever reason, that's where you find yourself in your journey, is totally okay. Sam and I, as we just mentioned to you, have the vision to write many more. Anxiety is the first one, but we are planning on making a huge impact and to create a book for every mental illness diagnosis that is out there. So if anxiety doesn't call your name now, it may be something that is different. And then Sam, you also need to speak with, that is not just for the diagnosis.
Oh, yes.
You actually had the presence of mind, I'm going to say, to not put us in a box of just diagnosis, which is where I was. Can you share that? Can you share what your vision, the vision that you had?
Because listen, let's think about this. For men, for teachers, for veterans, for teens,
for moms with children,
right? There is no ending. And why does it matter? And why can there be separate categories? Because connecting with other people and having that community of people who get it is a huge part of healing as well. And we didn't mention that it's not just sending you off to write a chapter and putting you in a book. You become a part of that community.
Correct.
Yes, Callie. Absolutely. There's no end to where this can go. And all of the possibilities. And we just started with Faces of Mental Illness because that encompasses everything. And anxiety right now in this world seems huge. But there is no end to where this will go. So to anyone interested, that there's so much we're leaving out. We just want people to know that if you feel like being involved, please reach out in the comments and we'll get back to you. In the show notes, I'll put both of our emails, sam@samantharuth.com. But we are currently looking for authors. If there's any other creative way you want to be involved that I didn't think of to say, please, we are open to all of the ideas and support. Because like I said, this is growing every day. We can't even stop calling each other as something happens because every single day more things are happening. So we just wanted to share, because the more people we tell, the more people want to be involved. And so we don't want to keep it to ourselves and not offer it in case there is someone who does have a story and wants to be a part of it.
So Sam, you have the book right there. Mine are actually in the car. Could I ask you to go to David Barley's story? Because I believe his first words in his chapter are words that our audience need to hear. And this is not to
August 31st, 2011 was by all appearances just an average day.
He goes into detail to say, I think his title, what is the title of his book? It's Hope. But I think he goes in to say, connections create hope, and hope saves lives. And that's what we're here to do. He could have not said it better than Sam and I could. And she just put the segue perfectly into that. This is a community where you will feel connected to those that are walking the same coals of that fire that we know what it's like. And then through connection, there's hope and understanding and more information. And then through that hope, lives can be saved. And David now travels around the world to share his story. And like him, many others have actually done the same thing. Forrest Willett is another one that is also traveling the world to share his story. So don't feel intimidated by that. I would say I would ask you, I cannot control how you feel, but I can definitely ask you to, again, like Sam said, by the mere fact that you are feeling called to contribute or to assist in this project, just know that you are part of the project just by being who you are. And I thank you for taking this invitation to your heart, because that's exactly how it came to me when I wrote my chapter for Women Who Illuminate. I had been saying that I wanted to become a published author at a conference that I attended in 2015 for personal growth with who is now our mentor, Jack Canfield, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul stories. And that was just a seed. And then in 2000, was it the same year, 2015, I think, 2016, whenever that came, late at night, I actually just felt compelled to check my emails. And the email that I read was, we're still looking for authors, one last opportunity, from our publisher, Kate. And don't ask me how it is that I felt the calling, but I felt it loud and clear, and it was last opportunity. So almost the window's closing. If you don't act now, then this title will be gone. And it's Women Who Illuminate. And my chapter was shining a different light into mental illness. It was just shining a different light. But that has definitely propelled me to go through this journey to end where we are right now, which is just the beginning. So I trust that what we've shared is something that can also light your fire, so you can join us. And that little flame, maybe that little flame that is just there, ready to shine as brightly as it's meant to. You belong here just by the mere fact that you're here. So thank you for joining us. That's all I have, Sam, really.
Thank you so much for taking time. I know you're so busy. Thank you for being here with us. And please reach out if this feels aligned with who you are. Until next time, always be ruthless.